After a disappointing loss against the Carolina Hurricanes, the Devils bounced back against the Ottawa Senators thanks to Jacob Markstrom. We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play-by-play announcer, Devils Rider Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. My apologies for not publishing an episode the last couple days, especially a post-game recap episode after the Devils came out with a loss against the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh. Unfortunately, I came down with a very nasty cold, and it's actually affected my vocal cords, which is why I'm speaking in a much softer tone. I'm still not at 100%, but I feel like I'm good enough to record you guys an episode and share my thoughts after the Devils came away victorious against the Ottawa Senators by a score of 3-1. In the first segment, I will share my main takeaways from the game. Then in the second segment, I will list my 3 stars from the game. And in the third and final segment, I will compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade. I will also play some post-game interview sound bites from Sheldon, Keefe, and Jacob Markstrom. All right. Like I said moments ago, I was not well enough to record a post-game recap episode after the Hurricanes and Devils game, but I'll give you guys my quick thoughts going into this matchup because I still watched the game. The energy was just severely lacking for New Jersey. It was the back end of a back-to-back, and we knew that last season, one of the biggest Achilles heels for the Devils were these back-to-back games. And this is going to be one of their challenges going the rest of the way. When the Devils have back-to-back games, can they come out victorious in both those matchups more often than not? They've already done it against the Buffalo Sabres, but that game was in Prague, so they already did a majority of their traveling a few days prior. But in this case, it's like they had just beaten the Utah Hockey Club. They had to get on a plane 30 or 40 minutes after the matchup concluded. Now they're in Raleigh, and they're going up against a well-rested Hurricanes team that had only played one game up to that point. I just want to say, yes, the Devils should have played better, but I also question the scheduling by the NHL, because why is it that the Hurricanes only played in one game prior to facing the Devils, whereas New Jersey had already played 5? That doesn't really make much sense to me, but excuses aside, the Hurricanes obviously wanted it more, and the Devils, what they're prone to do against the Hurricanes, they were outmuscled. The physicality just wasn't there, and the Hurricanes obviously wanted it more. Similar to what Bryce Salvador said on air in this matchup against the Senators, the Devils, especially their fourth line, just didn't come to play. And you just saw that the Hurricanes, with their physicality, they were basically trapping the Devils outside their offensive end, which made it very difficult for New Jersey to generate some offensive zone time. In the minuscule opportunities that the Devils were given, they had some good looks, but when you're given so few opportunities and you don't capitalize on them, it can really come back to bite you. And the Hurricanes, whenever they lost momentum to the Devils, like the Devils went up 1-0 thanks to Jack Hughes, the Hurricanes knew how to answer on back. And that last second goal in the second period, that's what really killed the Devils, in my opinion. And then the third period, the Devils were just going through the motions, and you knew that they weren't going to win. So energy was going to be a focal point for New Jersey in this matchup against the Senators, because don't let the record fool you. The Senators were averaging 4 goals coming into this game. So the Devils had to pick up their intensity, their defense, and of course, Jacob Markstrom had to have another good performance. And that's my first takeaway from this game. Jacob Markstrom had back-to-back great outings. The loss against the Hurricanes was not on Markstrom. He was phenomenal in between the pipes. And in the game against the Senators, no different. I felt as though he deserved a shutout. Unfortunately, some circumstances didn't go his way. I'll talk more about that in the second segment, but he was very strong. And that first shutout this season is coming sooner than you realize. But shutout or no shutout, I'm sure the Devils are glad that they got the win at the end of the day. My second takeaway is like similar to what I said about the energy lacking. The first period wasn't really the greatest start in the world from New Jersey. And I feel like I've been saying that the past couple of post-game recap episodes. Jonas Siegenthaler, he got an early penalty. Luckily, the Devils were able to kill it off. But the first period, I'm sure, could have gone a little bit better. But the difference from this year and last year is that the Devils can find themselves in a pickle now and again, and more likely than not, they can climb out of it. And that's what's been impressing me early on in the season, which is if the Devils hit adversity and the odds are not in their favor, they don't roll over similar to what they did last season. They have energizers to help get them out of their funk. And that's why I love the contribution from the bottom six. And this leads into my third takeaway, which is this team is opportunistic. Since it's the MLB playoffs, I'll use a baseball analogy. When the Devils are down in the count, they don't just say, okay, you know what? I gave it my very best. I'm just going to put the bat on my shoulders, or I'm going to let the pitcher just strike me out because there's nothing more I could do. I'm down 0-2. No, they battle back to make it a 1-2 count or a 2-2 count or make it a full count. And sometimes it doesn't go their way, but I love the valiant effort because as a former baseball player, I've always been told, like, if you're going to go down striking out, you better go down swinging. Don't go down looking. And once again, that's just what I loved from this Devils team because first period, not the best of starts, didn't come back to bite them. But in the second period, once they got that goal from Eric Haula, thanks to a great redirect and a good setup by Kovacevic and Meyer, the Devils' energy just picked up. And I could just tell right then and there, they were not going to lose this game. Nathan Bastian, he got a shorthanded goal, and he desperately needed that. And I'll talk more about that in the second segment. And Jacob Markstrom, y'all said you wanted a goalie over the offseason. Fitzy got you a goalie in Jacob Markstrom, and he's been phenomenal so far to begin his Devils tenure. All right. I'm going to list some players that caught my eye and name my 3 stars of the game momentarily. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Visit FanDuel.com to look at the odds. And please remember to always gamble responsibly. Okay, first some honorable mentions before I name my 3 stars. My first honorable mention is Dougie Hamilton, who got his first point this season. He got the primary assist on Paul Cotter's goal. Yes, I will talk about Paul Cotter momentarily, but I want to put the spotlight on Dougie Hamilton because he initially tried to get the shot on Forsberg, and Forsberg knocked it away, but Cotter was there on the rebound to put it on home, but Hamilton walked away with the point. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are saying, like, wait a minute, we're 7 games into the season, and that was Dougie Hamilton's first point. He's not doing anything out there. Well, here's the thing. According to Bill Spalding, he said this during the broadcast. Dougie Hamilton is out there a majority of the time when the Devils score. I don't really like using this term, but he's just been very unlucky. And it has to like put a damper on you, similar to what Bill and Dano said on air, which is like you're out there for most of the time when your team scores and you can't even be credited with a secondary assist. So I just want to put this out there before any of you pounce on Hamilton. He's actually been playing efficiently based on my perspective, and he's out there more times than not when the Devils do score. This time, he's rewarded with a point, and it was the primary assist on Cotter's goal. My second honorable mention goes to Jonathan Kovacevic, who got the primary assist on Eric Halla's goal. Yes, Eric Halla redirected it on in, but Kovacevic had a laser up top that was just picturesque, poetry in motion. It was a beautiful play drawn up. I was mesmerized after I saw the replay because everything that the Devils did in synchronization was just so perfect. Because Timo Meier, he saw that Kovacevic had an open lane to fire. He dished it out to him, and then Kovacevic, without any hesitation, got the puck near the net, and it redirected off the stick of Eric Halla, and Forsberg couldn't make the save. So once again, I know Eric Halla walks away with the goal, but Kovacevic, that was an impressive setup without hesitation to just try to get the puck near the net. And as a result, Kovacevic now has 5 points in his first 7 game appearances this season. 1 goal, 4 assists. If you need reference, last season, while with the Montreal Canadiens, Kovacevic appeared in 62 games and he had 13 points. So he's almost halfway to his point total from last year, and we're not even 10 games into the season. It goes to show you what playing in a different system under a different coach can do for you. And Ken Danico said this on air, which is the Montreal Canadiens might be missing Kovacevic more than they realized. And Fitzy traded away a 4th round pick in the 2026 draft for the services of Kovacevic. I told you guys, Kovacevic was an underrated get for New Jersey. My third honorable mention, Eric Halla. He got the redirect, like I just said, and now he has 5 points in 7 game appearances, 1 goal, 4 assists. Did you have that on your bingo card? Eric Halla scoring has picked up. Maybe it was him winning MVP at the Beauty League. I don't really know. But Eric Halla, he's been very efficient on the bottom 6 for New Jersey. All right. My third star of the game goes to Nathan Bastian, who got a shorthanded goal to make it a 2-0 game for New Jersey. And he shot it with full confidence. Like I said in segment 1, the fourth line desperately needed to redeem themselves after a horrendously bad outing in the previous game against the Hurricanes. And it starts with Nathan Bastian because he is one of the few scapegoats on the roster. And I felt as though Bastian gets unnecessary amount of hate. He hasn't been great. Let me just put that out there. But I don't think the amount of hate he receives is justified. But even I can admit he did not have a good outing in the last game. But in this matchup, shorthanded, going down the lane, it was him and Curtis Lazar, 2-on-1 breaking out. He could have dished it to Lazar because I would say Lazar has actually been doing somewhat decent for the Devils, even though he was on that fourth line. But anyway, he could have dished it to Lazar, but he shot it fast, quick. And I'm just like, where did that come from? It was honestly incredible. Here's what head coach Sheldon Keefe had to say post-game about the fourth line, them redeeming themselves, and the energy that was needed going into this matchup. Take a listen.
It was a tough game for Lazar's line in Carolina, but what can you say about the way they responded tonight, especially Bastian getting a pretty big shorthanded goal for you guys?
Yeah, huge. And those guys have been so good for us. You know, a lot of lines had a tough night in Carolina. But I knew those guys would bounce back. Those guys have earned my trust here in this early going, so I wanted to put them right back out there in those situations to be counted on. And you know, whether there's Lazar, Bastian, their job on the penalty kill that they've done for us, and a huge goal here today. Or I thought Palat had a lot of really good moments, helping us take care of the lead and managing the game, showing his veteran experience that way. So those guys are important pieces for us.
Now, Nate Bastian won't do that too often, so enjoy it while you can. I expect for him to contribute in other assets. I just want him to be efficient and be somewhat physical and not be a liability. My second star goes to Paul Cotter. Let me share you an interesting fact, and I actually put this out on social media. Paul Cotter, 7 games played, 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points. If you're curious, here's what Alexander Holtz and Akira Schmid have been doing in Vegas. 4 games played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points. Akira Schmid still has not played in a game. Yep, Fitzy knew what he was doing. Paul Cotter has been incredible. And he's leading the team in goals with 5. Again, I know we're not 10 games into the season, but I don't think anyone, including myself, anticipated that. And how he got it was just being physical. He collected the rebound off of Dougie Hamilton's shot, and he put it on home. That's how you do it. Now, somebody responded to my tweet and said, like, look, I love Cotter too, but let's wait until we're in the 50th game of the season before we bash on the Vegas Golden Knights. And that is fair, because I will admit it is still very early in the season and everything can change in a split second. But here's what I really want to see from Cotter. Look, he's not going to be the leading goal scorer for Devils come the end of the season, more likely than not. But it's still incredible to see what he's doing. But why did Fitzy bring him here in the first place? Well, he brought him here for physicality, and he felt as though that Cotter's speed could match what the Devils are doing. Physicality and speed. And in this game, he was put on the second line alongside Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. It goes to show you how much confidence Sheldon Keefe has in Cotter. Now, let me just say, if Cotter finishes off the season with, let's say, 30 points or something like that, then I'd be okay with that. Because once again, I need Cotter to be a physical player. Did you know that entering this game, Cotter was leading the team in hits with 20? This is also something I echoed during the offseason, which is Paul Cotter, Brendan Dillon, Stefan Nason, they're going to rack up the hits for the Devils. And that's exactly what they need. They just need more aggressive players. And that's what Paul Cotter is supposed to do. The meat and potatoes of his game is physicality, trying to make sure that the Devils keep possession of the puck and match the speed of some of his teammates. The scoring is just gravy and makes him a Swiss Army knife. That's what I expect from Cotter. And if he's able to keep this scoring up, I'm certainly not going to complain about it. But physicality, that's the X factor for the Devils this season. My first star, Jacob Markstrom. It's no doubter. Back-to-back great outings. He has seen 61 shots and has made 57 saves. He deserved a shutout in this game. Unfortunately, Shimon Nemeth got a penalty for tripping, so he had to come off. This was late in the game. The Senators pull Forsberg to get the extra attacker, so it's 6-on-4. The Devils blasted down to the other side of the rink to maybe get the empty netter goal, but more likely than not, just to kill off some of the penalty. And the referees called it an icing. They made a mistake. It was like, no. The Devils are shorthanded. Yes, the net is empty, but the Devils, one of their guys is in the penalty box. And I was like, oh, boy. So they have to do the faceoff at center. And then just a few moments later, Brady Tkachuk tipped one in on the power play thanks to Claude Giroux. And I'm just like, yep, there goes a shutout. I was disappointed because so close, because the Devils only racked up one shot last season. But anyway, I'm sure the Devils care more about the win. Here's what Markstrom had to say to the media post-game about his performance and his team's collective effort.
Is how calming it is to have you in the net. A bunch of big saves by you again tonight. How do you feel in that net, being able to really help be that last line defense?
No, I mean, it feels good. I think, for the more games we play together, the better chemistry I feel like we're having, especially, me with the D and all that stuff. I thought they did a fantastic job today, and, penalty kill is doing a great job all year, and then, the guys make it easy for me today.
Seeing that you're going up against a team that loves to make offense off the rush, what did you like about the defensive effort by your team to help limit that?
I mean, I liked everything. I think it was kind of back and forth a little bit, and the game was up for grabs, and we get a big goal from a good, from our own zone back to, in the back of their net, and then penalty kill comes up big with Bass scoring a big goals for us. So it was a solid game through and through.
So there you go. Bastian is my 3rd star. Paul Cotter, 2nd star. Jacob Markstrom is my 1st star. Now, before we continue with today's episode and compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade, let me tell you guys about Game Time. I've actually used Game Time before to purchase myself some MLB and NBA tickets. What is it? Well, Game Time Picks. Creation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. All-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkouts. Seat views. Get a good view from your seat in your app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKDOWNNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time, ladies and gentlemen. And now let me tell you guys about Prize Picks. I've actually used Prize Picks before, especially during the basketball season. I love it, and I think you guys will too. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get in on the action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value to your lineups. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay, let's compare the stats, give the Devils a letter grade, and get out of here. Shots on goal differential, 35-31 in favor of the Devils. Once again, Ottawa averaging 4 goals a game entering this matchup. They play in a tough division. Was not going to be easy for the Devils. Power plays. Devils were 0 for 2, but they got a shorthanded goal. Ottawa was 1 for 3. Shouldn't have happened, but I digress. Hits 27-22 in favor of Ottawa. Giveaways 16-14 in favor of Ottawa. Takeaways 4-3 in favor of Ottawa. Block shots 18-11 in favor of Ottawa. Time spent in the penalty box 6-4 in favor of the Devils. All right. If I have to give the Devils a letter grade, I'm going to give them a B-. They picked it up as the game progressed, but I felt as though they relied a lot on Jacob Markstrom. And you don't want to overwork your goalie, especially after the performance he had against the Hurricanes. Like, you got to take it a little easy on them. And let's face it, the Devils did get lucky at times because did you notice how the puck sometimes just like hit the crossbar and it was so close to finding the back of the net? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and sometimes it's good to be lucky. But once again, don't overwork your goalie. That's just my thing, and that's my main takeaway. Not the best start, but the Devils picked it up, and they should have, and the least they could have done was reward Jacob Markstrom a shutout. But that's my opinion as to how the game went. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think of Paul Cotter's play up to this point? Jacob Markstrom's strong presence in between the pipes, and also what did you notice as the game progressed? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Thanks for listening once again.